And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another weekly review with The Robot, brought to you by the Movie Pope. And here he is, bolts and nuts akimbo, The Robot.
Welcome to March, the third month of 2026, and we're entering a new month with a fresh batch of reviews against the backdrop of flustered ducks that may or may not see us plunged into another world war. To forget about the reality of possible annihilation, allow me to take your mind off with the review of the Taking of Pelham 1.2.3 from 2009, starring Denzel Washington and John Travolta, which is a remake of the 1974 OG starring Walter Matthau. I like a good, high-octane movie set in my old stomping ground, the Big Apple, and when I first watched it I was thrilled. New York went from being this boring pedestrian town to a place where anything and everything can happen. However, as I mature and revisit these films, I begin to question the choices made by those involved and if they lost the plot and all that fluff. Oh, before we get started here, I wanted to put this out. Throughout March, if you pay close attention, you'll see a theme crop up, so if you catch on, let us know down in the comments below. It'll probably be clear by the middle of the month anyway, but still, let's have fun with it, shall we? The drama revolves around Ryder and his crew hijacking a passenger train. That's what's on the poster, but it's all about Garber and Ryder having some kind of therapy session. Ryder seems to be fixated with Garber for some weird reason. Maybe it's because they both were guilty of financial crimes. Garber took bribes from the Japanese and Ryder was a Wall Street high flyer who got put in the slammer for 10 years. So, crooked dudes just find a way to home in one another, eh? That is one huge plot hole as to why Ryder is fixated on Garber and trying to make him confess as to why he took the bribe or whatever. But at the end of the movie there really is no resolution apart from Ryder getting his comeuppance. It's not like Garber can fix anything, because he already spent the bribe money, and he can't really change because these allegations happened a long time ago and he seems to have learned his lesson. So what was it all for? Nothing, that's what. Given that the 9/11 attacks were only 8 years prior, the premise of this movie can seem a bit on the nose, especially since it takes place in New York and, well, the city was still dealing with the aftermath of what happened and things hadn't quite gone back to normal in the preceding years. Sure, we New Yorkers have a propensity for getting back into the swing of things and nothing can get us down, but still, didn't it come off as a bit tone deaf? Me, personally, felt that maybe had they done this in 2014, 30 years after the original came out, would have been far more fitting. To show that New York is resilient and doesn't let the bad things slow us down is admirable, but a train hijacking? Seriously, Sony? Read the room! Can I just say, why is it every time that studios decide to remake a movie they have to make it faster, more intense, throw in more foul language, up the hammy acting, and, in some cases, make it visually suggestive? Does today's audience really need all those bells and whistles to make it better? Now, I come from school of thought that better tech doesn't necessarily mean a better film. Not to cast aspersions or anything, but what does John Travolta bring to the table here? Every time I see him on screen I just think of Vinnie Barbarino from Welcome Back, Kotter, or Danny Zuko from Grease. He's a pretty decent actor, no doubt about that, but dramas and action flicks aren't really his forte. The 1974 original just played it straight and we loved it. I would even go out on a limb and say that the studios haven't even bothered to watch the original and just put out the mandate, make it faster, sexier, and more special effects. And it comes off as an insult to the viewers because you're not trusting them to be engaged and need to jingle the keys in order to keep us focused. Enough said. In the grand scheme of cinema history, the Taking of Pelham 1-3 isn't exactly moving the needle. And in terms of story, it's doing a lot without leaving any impression. It reminds me of when I reviewed Gone in 60 Seconds last summer, where they just inserted car chases and high-octane action every second they could, and yet it was underwhelming. I didn't connect with the characters, except maybe the passengers who were forced to endure this mind-numbing experience where Travolta is trying his hardest to be menacing. Hell, even when's waving a gun about, you gotta exert every muscle in your face not to laugh. Now that's what I call a workout. Admittedly, I did find it nice to see what life was like back in the early 2000s when life just seemed simpler. Okay, maybe not simpler, but things couldn't get any more complicated than they already were at that time. Jesus, Bush was doing mentally gymnastics that would earn him a gold medal, if that ever was an event. Taking of Pelham 1-3 is, in the end, a simple movie that is the equivalent of a can of Pringles. It looks good and is pretty easy to handle, but there's no substance. It's all empty calories, and in the grand scheme of cinema, as much as we don't want to admit it, we need those duds, flops, misfires, and B-listers to balance out and make us appreciate the greats. Thanks for watching, and if you don't mind, please leave us a like. It helps a lot. And while you're at it, subscribe so you never miss an episode drop. This is the Robot signing off.